back to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Tuesday, July 24th, 2018. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Last weekend, I wrapped up binge watching Luke Cage on Netflix. And I swear, at one point during an episode, I caught myself thinking, well, I wonder if Joel Thomas could beat this guy in a fist fight. Over the last few weeks, bodybuilding's version of the indestructible man has been looking even more like a superhero than usual, which can only mean that he's got a date with a pro stage circled somewhere on his calendar. And if I were a betting man, I'd probably be willing to lay down a few dollars on the South Florida native jumping into the Tampa Pro next month, which is the show that we've seen him look great at a few times since 2015. When you see him in the gym, this guy has the sort of thickness and nastiness that makes you go crazy as a fan. So if you can figure out how to translate that to the stage, he's a guy who can absolutely make some noise in the top 5 call-out. I saw one of those motivational speaking videos on YouTube a few weeks ago where I heard this guy say that you should never let your ambitions exceed your work ethic. And I can say with complete honesty that I haven't talked to too many athletes this year who had a work ethic like 2018 Muscle Man Pro champ Charles Griffen. Less than 2 months out from making his first trip to the Olympia stage, the third-year pro looks like he's a man on a mission. Over the weekend, we saw Team Griffin release a clip from a shoulder session where we saw some of the craziest next-level density you're going to see on this side of the Mediterranean. Up to this point in his career, Griffin has been one of those guys who makes explosive leaps up the ladder almost every time we see him. But when you look at the landscape at this year's Olympia lineup, we'll see if he's got enough firepower to make his way up into the top 10 with the elite talent in the sport. To paraphrase CEO and motivational speaker Andy Frisella, some people like to talk about it, but very few people out there actually want to be about it. And I don't think you have to be a genius to figure out which of these camps Roelly Winklaar falls into. Now that we're finally starting to creep past the halfway point for Olympia prep season, I think it's time we start paying attention to reigning and defending Arnold Australia champ Roelly Winklaar, who's probably put together the best 8 to 10 month stretch of his career recently. True to form, Roelly's been relatively quiet over the last few weeks, but in the few breadcrumbs that we've seen sprinkle out, the beast seems like he's still lurking out there, hungry as ever. A 100% Roelly Winklaar is one of the scariest bodybuilders on the planet as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think anyone would be the least bit shocked if he ended up bringing home a top 3 finish when the Olympia is all said and done. I don't know how many of you guys out there are football fans, but usually when you hear about an elite athlete in a high-demand sport tearing an ACL the way Carson Wentz did last year for the Eagles, you're looking at a 9 to 12 month recovery. That's why it's almost hard to fathom what I see 2018 Fitness International champ Whitney Jones doing right now 4 months post-surgery. Over the weekend, Jones released a clip from one of her recent training sessions that makes me question everything I thought I knew about the human body. By all accounts, not only is Jones blowing away any and all recovery projections that I've ever seen, but I think she's probably also the front runner for the Fitness Olympia crown now, which makes this whole thing even more incredible. I've been on record as saying that these fitness girls are by far the best overall athletes in the entire industry. But if Whitney Jones can somehow come back and actually pull off the win, somebody should call up Netflix and let them know that we've got their next documentary lined up right here. At this point in life, I honestly don't think I can remember a whole lot about what I was thinking or doing when I was 23. But I promise you it wasn't anything even remotely close to what I've seen lately from classic physique prodigy Keon Williams. Less than 2 months away from his rookie debut at the Tampa Pro, Pearson has really started to generate some buzz on social media from some of these updates. Last year's Junior USA champ looks like he's ready to come smoking out of the gates down there in Tampa, where I've heard some people mention his name as a potential winner, which sounds a whole lot like what I heard a few years ago when we were all waiting for Terrence Ruffin to make his classic physique debut right down there on that same stage. Whether or not this kid is ready to be as good as advertised is still anyone's guess at this point. But if the hype turns out to be real, man, does that make the future of this classic physique division start to be really interesting. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.